Hi, and welcome to this episode of John's Model Kit Review. Today I am looking at Revell's Messerschmitt BF 109 F2 and 4. This is Revell kit number 04656. The plastic parts in this kit were originally designed by ICM and released in the early 2000s. In this in-process model kit review, we will be taking a look at the progress that I've made so far on this kit. We will also be taking a look at the kit instructions. We'll look at the kit surface detail. We'll also look at the detailing on some of the smaller parts. I will also be covering areas to watch out for on this kit, some problem areas and my solutions to those. I will be covering any aftermarket details I'm using on this build, and we will be looking at the kit decals as well. And this kit was really designed to have the engine compartment opened up and the engine displayed. As such, it really doesn't have all the parts you need to model this aircraft all closed up, as I have. So I've had to do a little bit of scratch building and a little bit of improvisation here. Taking a look at the surface detail on the kit, you can see there's very minimal engraved detail. Here's a picture of the Eduard Bf 109F wing as well for comparison, and you can see there's so much more engraved detail. The panel lines, the rivet details, and the fit on the Eduard kit are just so much crisper. The plastic parts on this kit are somewhat soft. The surface texture is somewhat grainy as well. As such, they don't respond incredibly well to the liquid cement that I use. Several of the parts I've broken off multiple times, specifically the lower radiator flaps, and I've just had a difficult time having everything kind of stay glued together as I've been working on the kit and finish sanding it and painting it. Looking at the kit instructions, step 1, 2, and 3 all deal with the cockpit interior. Everything goes together pretty well here. It's pretty straightforward. Steps 4 and 5 begin the engine assembly. Steps 6 through 12 continue on with the assembly of the engine and the engine bay. Since I was planning to build this kit all closed up, I did build the engine block and the cylinders and the crankshaft coming off the front of the engine simply to hold the prop in place and to hold the exhaust in place. But I left all of the details off of the engine simply because they would be unseen on my finished kit. Steps 13 and 14 show how to attach the engine to the interior. I did not do this. I left the engine a separate assembly from the interior. In step 15, I simply closed up the fuselage halves around the interior. Steps 16 and 17 cover the wings, and I deviated a little bit from the kit instructions here by gluing the upper wings to the fuselage halves first to make sure that my wing root fit was really good. Step 18 covers assembling the wing to the fuselage. It also covers the tail planes of the kit. And you can see the wing seemed to fit pretty good. I didn't really have any major fit issues with the wing. And the tail planes themselves went on nicely. One thing I noticed was in comparison with the elevators, the fabric detail on the rudder was extremely overdone. Steps 19 and 20 just cover the oil cooler depending on which version you're building. In steps 21 through 24, I completed step 21 and then I glued the engine covers that are shown in step 24 to the completed nose section. And when I lined everything up, it left a gap down the middle between the two engine halves, and I used a piece of plastic strip to fill that gap where the hinge is on the actual aircraft that allows the engine covers to open. And so what I did was trim the plastic strip and sanded it down and then notched it so it looks like a hinge on top of the engine covers. And I dry fitted this to the aircraft and made sure that I had a good fit all the way around the engine compartment, and I installed the oil cooler at this time. Fit here was okay on all of these parts. It wasn't superb, and you can see some of the panel lines are a little bit uneven. Steps 25 through 30 cover the landing gear and the radiators. The detail on the landing gear is very basic. It should look fine once I detail it out and add a wash and dry brush some highlights on there, maybe add a little bit of mud. The wheels themselves are extremely simple, and so I'll be replacing those with the True Details wheels, and you can see the part number here is 48003. Because I wanted to display the radiator flaps open, I had to modify the kit parts, and there's really not an option to do this in the kit, and so it leaves them without much support. There's only a butt joint between the radiators themselves and the lower flaps, and I've had these lower flaps break off multiple times as I've been handling the kit. Hopefully once I have the landing gear installed and the kit is on the shelf, I won't have any more issues with that. Steps 31 through 33 cover the installation of the cockpit canopy. Mine seem to fit fine. The clarity of the parts is decent. The framing on it is decent, and it seems relatively thin. So we'll see what it looks like on the finished kit once I remove the masking and everything. Step 34 covers the assembly of the prop, and I've got a picture of the prop here. The detail's kind of soft on this. There's a pretty significant mold shift, and then there's a lot of flash to be cleaned up. Because the plastic itself is so soft and grainy, it's a little bit hard to tell where the flash stops and where the part itself begins. And the shape of this prop too is a little bit questionable to me. Another issue that I noticed was that the prop spinner itself is slightly too small for the front of the aircraft. There's a lip here that I'm going to have to deal with just behind the prop spinner, and you can see the overlap in this picture. Moving on to the decals themselves actually look really nice. They look like they're going to be opaque. They look to be fairly well in register. They do have a very flat finish on the decals, which some people may have issue with. We'll see how they come out on the final kit. There are two marking options included in this kit. The first marking option is for a Bf 109 F2, flown out of France in 1941, and this was flown by Hans Assi Hahn. The second marking option is for a Bf 109 F4 that flew in Africa in September of 1942. This is probably the most famous Bf 109F. It was flown by Hans Joachim Marseille. In conclusion, well, there's not too many times where I'm going to say to just avoid a kit. I think this is one of those times. This kit is difficult due to several factors, the first of which is it's a heavy parts count. The second of which is that the fit on the parts isn't stellar. The detail of the parts is fairly soft. The plastic is somewhat soft and grainy. It doesn't seem to react very strongly with the glue that I used. The issue of the prop spinner being too small for the end of the nose is a detractor for me, as is the highly overdone detail on the rudder. The very, very basic detailing on the kit, and then even on the detail parts, there's so much cleanup. This is almost a short run kit in my book. And because the Bf 109F is such a popular subject among model kit makers, there really isn't a reason to build this kit. Price-wise, it's in the same ballpark as an Eduard Bf 109F weekend edition kit, and those kits are so nice in comparison to this kit. I'm sure I'll finish this build out of pure stubbornness. From 3 feet away, it'll be a nice looking kit and people will recognize it as a Bf 109F. Would I build another? Absolutely not. I won't waste my time on this kit again. I just can't recommend spending good money on this kit. I think the only way I can recommend this kit is if you wanted to do a build with the engine compartment opened up. But if you do that, this kit is competing with the Zvezda kit, which is better and more accurate. Well, I'd love to know what you guys think. If any of you have built this Revell or ICM Bf 109F kit before, please feel free to comment in the comment section below. As always, I hope you found this video entertaining and informative, and until next time, model on.